Today I'm going to tell you a story so haunting, it lingers long after the last word fades, set in the unforgiving heart of the American West, where dust chokes the air and silence hides more than gunfire. It's a place where survival is never guaranteed, where fate crosses paths with fear and one wrong step can erase a life forever. It all begins with a single moment, small, almost invisible, yet powerful enough to drag a woman out of hiding and awaken a love that was never supposed to exist. Before we kick off this adventure, don't forget to hit like on the video and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. The New Mexico territory kept its secrets the way the high desert guarded its springs, hidden deep beneath cracked earth that gave nothing away at first glance. Elara Vance had become one of those secrets buried so completely that there were days she barely remembered the woman she used to be. She was 30 years old. She told people she was 35. The extra years paired with deliberate neglect strengthened the disguise she wore like armor. 6 years earlier, she had been celebrated in New Orleans, the cherished daughter of Alden Vance, a shipping tycoon, promised to a man whose fortune was rivaled only by his cruelty. 6 years earlier, she had slipped out into the night with nothing but the clothes on her back, and a single desperate resolve vanished so completely that no one, not even God, could trace her. She had done better than she ever imagined. The woman who once moved through ballrooms in silk and diamonds now wore coarse homespun streaked with grease and ash. The golden hair that had drawn admiring glances across Louisiana ballrooms was stuffed beneath a shapeless cap, never allowed to catch the light. Each morning she dulled herself further, grinding dirt into her skin, tangling her hair until it discouraged any lingering stare. Skin once likened to porcelain was now smeared with soot and grime. Her face kept half hidden at all times. Her beauty lay buried so deep beneath neglect and filth that no one who had known Elara Vance would have recognized Dusty, the servant girl who scrubbed floors and hauled chamber pots at a trading post squatting at the edge of Navajo land. She had chosen the place because it was almost nowhere at all, a lonely outpost where people came to trade and then moved on. No questions, no interest. A place where a woman could disappear if she made herself unpleasant enough to be ignored. She trained herself to shuffle. Instead of walk, to mumble. Instead of speak, to keep her gaze fixed on the floor, and her shoulders curled inward. She drifted through the post like smoke, useful, present, and unseen. The owner, Thorne Kessel, treated her exactly as she hoped he would. With lazy disdain that never crossed into real danger, he paid her scraps, fed her leftovers, and let her sleep in a cramped storage room barely fit for livestock. She accepted it all with gratitude, thankful for the invisibility, for the degradation that kept her safe for a life that was harsh but belonged to her alone. The Redstone caravans passed through, often trading wool and silver for supplies they could not make themselves. During their visits, Elara made herself scarcer than usual, not out of fear, but because one man among them stirred feelings she could not afford. A man whose gaze threatened the careful prison she had built around herself. His name was Coda. Among his people, the name carried weight, short, deliberate, rooted. He was tall and spare-built, like someone shaped by distance and motion, with broad shoulders and narrow hips. His face was all sharp lines and weathered planes, his eyes a dark amber that seemed to strip away lies on contact. He had noticed her from the first visit 6 years earlier, when she was new and her performance still flawed, when traces of grace slipped through, when her hands moved with a refinement no amount of scrubbing could erase. She had felt his attention then, like a hand pressing between her shoulders. Terrified, she had deepened the disguise, made herself dirtier, smaller, more forgettable, until even she almost believed there was nothing worth seeing beneath the grime. But Coda never stopped watching. Every time the caravan arrived, every time he stepped through the trading post doors, his eyes found her. They followed her movements with a focus that made her skin prickle despite the layers of filth. He never spoke to her, never approached, never did anything that might draw notice. Still, she knew. She felt it in the way his gaze lingered, the way his head turned, as she passed the quiet tension that seemed to crackle between them whenever they shared the same space. For 6 years, she avoided him, perfected the art of being elsewhere when he was near, inventing chores that took her out of his reach. She built walls inside walls, defenses so thick she sometimes couldn't find her own heart behind them. She nearly convinced herself she was safe, that he would lose interest, that no man would bother pursuing a servant girl so far beneath notice. She was wrong. The day everything shifted began like any other. Ilara rose before dawn and set to work scrubbing the main room before moving into the storage areas out back. That was when she heard hoofbeats outside Thornkessel's voice, barking greetings, the familiar rhythm of Navajo's speech, drifting through the wall sounds that made her heart quicken despite herself. She slipped deeper into the storage room, planning to stay hidden until the trading ended, to avoid those amber eyes, to protect the disguise that stood between her and something worse than death. But as she turned toward the shadows, her path vanished. A figure stood before her, silent, as if he'd grown from the dark itself. Lean, muscle-coiled stillness, a presence that stole her breath. Coda blocked the narrow space. In the dim light, his eyes held something sharper than anger. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He only watched her, and the intensity made her want to bolt and freeze all at once. "Please," she rasped, slipping into the role she had practiced for years. Her shoulders curled inward, her gaze dropped. "Sir, I've got work to do. Thornkessel will beat me if I don't finish," she whispered. "He won't," Coda said calmly. His voice was low and steady, marked by the cadence of someone who had learned English later in life and mastered it through use. "He's busy with the crossroad dealers. He won't notice you're gone. And even if he did, he wouldn't lay a hand on you once he knows you're under my protection." "I don't need protection," she replied, still refusing to look at him, clinging to the lie that had kept her alive for 6 years. "I'm just a servant. I'm nothing. Please let me pass." He shifted then, not forward but sideways, cutting off her escape completely, herding her farther into the storage room. With the quiet certainty of a hunter who knew his prey had nowhere left to run. She stepped back, pulse hammering the walls she had built, beginning to tremble. "For 6 years," he said softly, relentlessly, "I've watched you. For 6 years, I've seen what no one else sees, what you work so hard to bury." His eyes never left her. "My people understand patience. We know some things can't be forced. The most precious things are the ones uncovered slowly." "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice wavered. The rasp slipped, and something smoother, more refined, broke through despite her effort to smother it. "You know exactly what I mean." He stepped closer. She retreated until her back met the wooden wall, solid, unforgiving, trapped between the planks and the man who had finally stopped waiting. He was close enough now that she could smell him, sage wool, clean desert air. Close enough to feel the heat of him, to see the first threads of silver at his temples, the fine lines carved by years of sun and snow. Close enough that when he lifted his hand and touched her cheek, the contact burned like fire, like warmth after a long winter. His thumb dragged through the soot she had smeared on herself that morning. He stared at the dark streak on his skin, then back at her. The look in his amber eyes made her throat tighten. "I know what's under that dirt," he said hoarsely. "And I want it." The word struck her hard, splitting cracks through defenses built to survive sieges. They reached past grime, past disguise, past 6 years of hiding, and stirred something she had forgotten was alive. Tears burned behind her eyes. "You don't know anything," she said, but her voice broke. The false rasp was gone now, replaced by something truer. "You don't know who I am, what I'm running from, why I can't." "I know you're afraid," he said, cutting her off gently. His hand stayed on her face, his thumb wiping away more of the filth she wore like armor. "I know something happened, something that taught you the only way to live was to disappear. I know you've hidden so long you've forgotten there's anything worth finding." His gaze locked on hers. "But I see you, Alara. I always have. That he thinks you belong to him." "Then you understand why I can't," she whispered. "I understand why you think you can't," he said. "But you're missing something." He leaned in until their foreheads nearly touched his breath, warm against her lips. "Blackwell's power works in towns and cities where money and names carry weight. It means nothing on my people's land. His reach ends where ours begins." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I watched you suffer for 6 years. Watched you erase yourself to survive." His thumbs traced her cheekbones, uncovering skin beneath the dirt. "I loved you from a distance, because you weren't ready to be found." His eyes burned into hers. "And I'm done waiting. I'm telling you this because I want to take you away from here," Coda said steadily, "to a place where Rourke Blackwell can't reach you. Somewhere you don't have to bury yourself under dirt just to survive. Somewhere you can be who you are again." "You don't know me," she whispered. The protest barely had strength behind it. "You've never even spoken to me before today. How can you say you love someone you don't know?" "I do know you," he replied without hesitation. His voice held no doubt. "I know the way you move, when you think no one's watching, like someone trained for finer rooms than this one. I know how you slip candy to the post brats when the crossroad dealers aren't looking, because kindness is stitched too deep into you to be killed. I know you read the books Thorne Kessel keeps locked away, stealing knowledge where you can find it. I know you still crave beauty, even in a place built to strip it from you." His gaze softened. "I know you cry at night, when you think the walls are thick enough to hold your sorrow. I know everything about you that matters, Alara." The tears came without warning, cutting clean paths down her dirt-streaked face. 6 years of fear. 6 years of loneliness. 6 years of being nothing at all. And here stood a man who had seen her anyway, who had waited wanted and refused to look away. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice raw. "I'm terrified. Blackwell is powerful. He's cruel. If he finds me, or anyone who helps me, let him try," Coda said quietly. The words carried the weight of certainty. "Let him send the Blackwell trackers into our lands. Let him try to take what I claim. He'll learn what my people have taught invaders for generations. That there are things money can't buy. Places power can't follow." He kissed her forehead, gentle, reverent. "A promise. You've carried this alone for 6 years," he said. "You trusted no one, asked no one. I'm asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to let me carry this with you, to stop hiding, to let me see the woman I've loved from a distance for so long. What if she's gone?" The question came from somewhere deep and broken. What if there's nothing left under the dirt? What if Alara Vance died the night she ran, and all that's left is Dusty the servant? He pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. What she saw there stole her breath. "Then we build someone new together," he said. "But I don't believe she's gone. I've seen her when your guard slips. She's still there waiting to live again." His voice softened. "And I want to help her find her way back." He kissed her, then not a blessing but a claim. tender and fierce all at once. Salt from her tears and something sweeter beneath it. Hope. She resisted for a heartbeat. 6 years of survival screamed at her to pull away. But the walls were already dust. She kissed him back, gripping his shirt, pressing into him, as if distance itself were a threat. When they parted, both were trembling breath, unsteady. He rested his forehead against hers, still holding her face. "Come with me." "Tonight," he said. "Leave this place. Don't look back. I'll take you somewhere safe. Somewhere you can wash away what you've been hiding behind and remember who you are. I'll show you that the life you thought was gone isn't dead, just different." Tonight, the word shook. "I can't just... You can." He took her hands, firm but gentle. "Nothing's holding you here but fear. Thorn Kessel won't miss you. You're labor to him, replaceable." His grip tightened. "You own nothing. You owe nothing. No chains left but the ones in your head. The only thing standing between you and freedom is the choice to take it." She looked at him, this man who had watched her for 6 years, who had seen through what fooled everyone else, who offered her something she'd stopped believing existed. She saw patience, desire, a love forged in silence and strong enough to face her fear. "Yes," she said. The word felt like air after drowning. "Yes, I'll go with you. Yes to tonight. Yes to everything." His smile transformed him, turning severity into something almost blinding. "Then let's begin," he said. "Let's wash the years away." He led her out through the back of the trading post, into the desert glowing gold beneath the sinking sun. His horse waited where he'd left it. He lifted her up, effortlessly mounted behind her arms, closing around her protective certain. They rode deep into his people's land, the world widening and softening as the sun slipped low. When they finally stopped, it was beside a spring at the foot of red rock cliffs. The water ran clear and cold, catching the last light, like molten gold. "This place is sacred," Coda said, as he swung down from the horse and helped her to the ground with the same steady care. "It's meant for cleansing, for starting over. My people come here when they need to leave the past behind." Only then did Alara realize he had planned everything. Blankets were already laid across smooth stone beside the spring food, wrapped in cloth, all the quiet necessities for a night beneath the open sky. This had never been impulse. This had been waiting. "I want to wash you," he said. The words carried more than their surface meaning. "I want to strip away what you've been hiding behind, see the woman I've been waiting for. Will you let me?" She could only nod. The shift from hiding to being chosen, from unseen to fully seen, was too overwhelming for speech. He undressed her slowly, lifting away the rough homespun piece by piece, removing the armor she had lived in. Pale skin emerged untouched by sun for years, a body she had almost forgotten belonged to her. She should have felt shame. Years of society had trained it into her. But there was none in his eyes, only awe, only hunger, only a reverence that made her feel beautiful despite everything she had done to erase herself. He guided her into the spring. The cold water stole her breath, sent sharp sensation across her skin. She trembled, but he was there, hands warm and steady, anchoring her as he began to wash her with slow, deliberate care. Dirt lifted from her face under his touch, revealing features once praised by men who had never understood what beauty truly was. He loosened her hair from the cap, worked patiently through the tangles, until the grime dissolved and golden strands drifted in the water like firelight. "Beautiful," he murmured, his hands moving over her shoulders, her arms, her back. "More than I ever imagined. I wondered for 6 years what was beneath the dirt. The truth is better than any dream." She wept as he washed her. Tears blended with the spring water, grief relief, and hope folding into one another until she could no longer separate them. He was reclaiming her, not just from filth, but from fear, from years of erasing herself, from the belief that she was safer dead than alive. When she was clean, when nothing of Dusty the servant remained, he lifted her from the water and carried her to the blankets, laying her down, with a care that made her feel sacred. The cliffs burned red and gold in the last light of day. She lay there bare and vulnerable, more exposed than she had been in 6 years. He undressed then, and she watched him openly. Lean muscle, sun-darkened, skin desire, honed by years of restraint. He was beautiful in ways she had never allowed herself to see. With her defenses gone, she let herself look, let herself want. He lay beside her, propped on one elbow, his hand resting on her stomach, with a tenderness that stole her breath. "I've wanted this for so long," he said quietly. "I dreamed of touching you, of seeing you without the mask, of knowing you completely. Tell me what you want, Alara. Tell me what you need." "Help me remember," she whispered, tracing his jaw with trembling fingers. "Help me remember I'm more than a servant, more than a fugitive. I need you to see me and show me that what you see is worth loving." He kissed her. Soft at first, then deeper, the restrained passion of 6 years finally breaking free. His hands learned her with devotion, mapping every response, drawing gasps and cries she hadn't known she still carried inside her. She explored him in return, discovering what made his breath hitch, where his control faltered, how easily he yielded to her touch. When he hovered over her, ready to join them, she felt no fear, only hunger, only trust. 6 years of longing burned in his amber eyes. "This is the beginning," he said, voice tight with restraint. "Of everything. Of the life you were afraid to claim. Of us." He moved slowly, giving her time, watching her face for doubt and finding only welcome. Their rhythm built ancient and new at once, 2 souls long denied finally meeting without walls. He read her every response, matched her pace, held nothing back. When release overtook her, shattering her sense of self, he followed their closeness, complete and consuming. They lay tangled together as stars filled the sky, desert cold kept at bay by blankets and shared warmth. Alara felt transformed, washed far deeper than skin, as if the spring had reached inside her and cleansed what years of hiding had left behind, as if the water had scoured away the fear, the shame, the loneliness that 6 years of hiding had ground into her bones. "I love you," Alara said. The words came without strain, as though they had been waiting all along. "I think I've loved you for years. I was just too afraid to admit it. Maybe that's why I stayed at that miserable trading post, because some part of me knew you'd come, that I'd see you even if I pretended not to. You were a lifeline I was never brave enough to grab." Coda drew her closer, his arms firm around her, possessive, in a way that felt like shelter, not restraint. "I've loved you since the first day," he said. "Since I walked into that post and saw a servant girl with the hands of a woman, raised in comfort. Grace, you couldn't bend out of yourself. Eyes full of fire and sorrow, calling to everything in me that wanted to mend what was broken. I loved you through 6 years of waiting," he continued. "And I'll love you through however many years come next." "What happens now?" she asked, reality edging back in, even through the warmth. "Now we build a life," he said. "In my mother Sani's land, where Rourke Blackwell has no reach, where you don't have to fear being yourself. I'll teach you my people's ways. You'll teach me yours. We'll make something new where our worlds meet." He kissed her hair, smiling against her skin. "It won't be silk gowns and ballrooms, but it'll be honest, free, ours." After 6 years of hiding, that felt richer than anything she'd ever been promised. She thought of New Orleans, of a society that measured her worth by beauty, and Alden Vance's fortune. She thought of Rourke Blackwell, of the cruelty behind his polished smile, of the life she would have endured beside him, a cage gilded with gold. Then she looked at Coda, at the man who had seen her when she was invisible, who loved what he found beneath the disguise, who offered her a future she'd never dared to imagine. "It's worth everything," she said. "You're worth everything." "I was afraid for so long," she went on softly. "Afraid to be seen, afraid to be found, afraid to let anyone close enough to hurt me. You broke through all of it. You saw me when I was nothing, wanted me when I was filthy, loved me when I couldn't love myself. I will always see you," he promised. "No matter what you wear, no matter how you try to hide, I'll always see the woman underneath. And I'll always want her." Night settled fully around them, and they came together again, slow this time, unhurried, each touch taken as something precious. When dawn finally spread, rose and gold across the desert, Alara Vance woke in the arms of the man who had freed her from the prison she'd built for herself. The years that followed were not easy. Learning a new language, a new culture, becoming someone who was neither the sheltered daughter of New Orleans nor the servant called Dusty, took patience and tears. But Coda was there through it all, steady, unmoving, always seeing her even when she struggled to see herself. The Blackwell trackers never found her. They searched for years, chasing rumors that led nowhere, never thinking to look among the Redstone caravans for the woman once praised as New Orleans' brightest jewel. In time, even Rourke Blackwell turned his attention elsewhere, forgetting the fiancé who had chosen death over belonging to him. But Alara never forgot. She never forgot the years she spent buried alive. The fear that drove her into the dirt, the lonely trading post at the edge of nowhere. And she never forgot the man who had looked at a filthy servant and seen the woman beneath. The man who waited 6 years, who cornered her in a storage room and spoke the words that changed everything. "I know what's under that dirt." He had wanted her, claimed her, loved her for the rest of their lives. And at last, she had stopped hiding. "Finally, let me send my deep thanks to you. Your presence means more than you know." If today's story awakened something inside you, don't let the trail end here. There are many more tales of courage, devotion, and faith waiting to be discovered. Subscribe, comment, share, and come back as we continue this unforgettable journey. Thank you truly. Aviso legal barra disclaimer. All stories are intended solely for entertainment and may include fictionalized scenarios or dramatization derived from historical contexts. While AI assists in production, human creators supervise and adjust every piece to maintain sincerity, credibility, and emotional quality. We adhere entirely to platform regulations regarding AI content, ensuring no deepfakes or misleading portrayals. Licensed materials are used responsibly. Republishing, modifying, or extracting content without authorization is not allowed. We appreciate every viewer who respects originality and creative effort.